Hello everyone, I am Dr. Pawan Gabra. I am currently an intern at AIIMS Delhi. I secured rank 2 in PGI and rank 5 in AIIMS, and I ultimately decided to take MD Radiology in AIIMS Delhi. I am a Marrow Pro user. I have been a Marrow user for past 1.5 years, and I began using Plan C in March 2018. Since I began using video lectures towards in my internship, I did not have time to finish all the videos. So I decided to begin using it, like that subject which I found very difficult. I started focusing on it. And so I began with psychiatry because I thought that I did not understand many of the terms very well. So I began using psychiatry video lectures. And then I started making notes with it. I found medicine very interesting and very high yield. Sir explains it very well. If I had any difficulty understanding a topic, even if it was for physio or pathology, I used to go to Rakesh sir's video lecture because he covers almost every point relevant to physiology, pathology, or medicine itself. Even a lot of pharma itself is covered, including things you would not expect in a video lecture like pharmacokinetics and all that. So I think that was a great advantage. Other subjects I liked was psychiatry because sir explains those terms very well with ample amount of examples. I also liked anesthesia and biochemistry. The video lectures cover almost all the points, and if you were to compare the notes from made from a video lecture, they would end up giving you more points than notes we make from the limited time in coaching classes. When I began solving Marrow, I realized that it covers almost all the MCQs without any unnecessary repetition of topics, which is very frequent and time consuming in guidebooks. So when you solve a Marrow QBank, your time is well utilized. There are very few MCQs for each topic, but they are all very high yield. Like the same chapter in Marrow would be covered in 25 to 30 high yield MCQs, and the same amount of even lesser amount of data you would get in a guidebook with 200 or 300 MCQs. So ultimately, it helps that way. I had towards my end, except for a few subjects like Anat or Pharma, my only source of MCQs was MCQs from Marrow. So ultimately, they helped me a lot. Another thing is that it gives you comfort of using it anytime, anywhere. You can like I used to just after my hectic internship, I used to just lay down on my bed and simply solve the MCQs, which won't be possible even if you're using a book with yourself. I think the comfort element is a great feature of it, and I'm very happy that it paid off very well. When I began using the QBank, it was my second source. Like first, I used to watch the video lectures or read my coaching notes, and then I began solving the QBank. But towards the end, when I was short on time, and as I solved the question bank, I realized that the explanations itself of all the MCQs together, they themselves form a notes on themselves. So I thought that all those topics which are left towards the end, I began using only the QBank, and I used to solve a chapter completely, and then to revise it, I used to bookmark all the MCQs. I tried to game the system. So I used to bookmark all the MCQs and then go to bookmarks and solve all those MCQs. So that way I could use it again. The test series in itself is very helpful. It serves two purposes. Like many of the questions, there are two types of tests, like one from the QBank and one another type of test. So you get extra points, and the QBank tests can help you revise those topics. It is but obvious for a human being to feel bad if they score in a grand test. Why do grand tests score over a subject test? Because subject test will tell you how much percentage of marks you are scoring in that given subject. It will not tell you what impact it is going to have on your ultimate score. So if you give a grand test, you will know which subject to identify as far as your ultimate score is concerned. We should realize that towards the beginning, you are always going to score less. So if you avoid giving grand tests and the first exam you give is your main exam itself, that will be the exam in which you will be scoring less. To begin scoring high, you need to have given a few tests before it. So if you give the grand tests, ultimately you will score better in the exam because it is a test you have given later. The grand tests are intended to educate you. When I used to give a grand test, my main focus was to identify the subjects in which I have made the maximum number of absolute mistakes. The pearls on themselves are a set of last minute revision points. They are like simple snippets of things you need to remember. Pearls, I think, my personal belief is that pearls focuses more on things which you have to remember towards the end. Like there are a lot of lists, there are a few important images. So that way, it forms a material which is for right before the exam revision. So when you go through the pearls, I myself used in the last 3 days before AIIMS, I used only pearls from morning to evening. I used only pearls. I tried to go through a lot of them. I think I should have given 3-4 days more to pearls, because they ultimately helped me in consolidating all the points which you have to cram towards the end. So that is the biggest advantage. Since Marrow is an online platform, it gives you a lot of images, and I think the images are sufficient by themselves. I do not think you would need another source for images. I got into AIIMS I think predominantly because it was a personal belief that my physics was very strong. So that's why I got into AIIMS. In no exam I was in top 10. I got no medals in any of my subjects. So I thought that I was quite depressed that this is the end of the road for me, because till now only physics has helped me. I'm not so good in biology. So ultimately, I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to show that yes, I can do it without physics, and I'm proud to say that I scored a better All India rank than my prof rank within 72 people. So that was the biggest motivation for me. That was the spirit which kept me going, because I would never have a chance to beat these 72 people. You should always think of one exam extra, because you never know, you could get a fever 2 days before the exam, even if you are prepared very well. And since we know that the competition is so tough that even outside top 20, you will in AIIMS especially, you will not get the clinical branch of choice you want. So a lot depends on the last day, even if you have prepared your best. So you should definitely think of one exam extra. Always think that this is not the end of the road for me. Exams are made for me. I am not made for the exams. One must plan towards the end. Like a chess game. You should plan for your end game right from the opening. So you should know what you are going to do in those last days. My initial focus was that I will try to identify what subjects and what points I need to revise towards the end. And that is what I did in the last week. You should trust your plan which you had made for the last 7 days. You would be tensed. You would think that मैं ये भी पढ़ लूँ, वो भी पढ़ लूँ. But you should always realize that you will definitely miss out on something. But you should trust yourself towards the end and follow a strict pattern. You should, if you want to know what you want to read, that is very different for each person. But you should focus on subjects which are difficult for you to remember. There are remembering points in everything. So that way pearls helped me, because when I began using pearls before, I realized that it has all those points which I need to remember towards the end. So I kept pearls for the last, and towards the last 2 days I had read only pearls and done nothing else. I wish all the Marrow users all the very best for your exam, and I hope you get a better rank than me.